Alright everybody, how's it going? It is February 11, 2020, and we just finished with, of course, week 1 in the XFL, so now it's time to kind of go over week 2 for our XFL Pick'em series that we're going to be starting here on the channel. It's very similar to the NFL ones if you've ever watched one of those videos. We just make the picks, I give my thoughts on the games, we do a little recap of how I did week 1 at the very beginning, and yada yada yada, we go on and so forth. Make sure you leave your comments at the end, who you think is going to win, what you think of the XFL so far, what you, first impressions, everything. Just let me know down in the comments. I'm very good about commenting back with people on these types of videos, so make sure you leave your comments so I can, get back to you and we can further on have this discussion. Week 1, I believe, let's see. We had the Defenders beat the, who'd they beat? I'm blanking. The Defenders beat the Dragons to open the season off 31-19. Then in game 2, it was a home team winning. I'm blanking on the teams for whatever reason. Hold on. Doesn't really matter who played. It wasn't the Roughnecks, and might have been. Well, I know the Roughnecks beat the Wildcats 37-17. I know that the Vipers got beat 23-3 by the Guardians, and I just cannot remember the other teams for the life of me. Battlehawks beat the Renegades 15-9. Yeah, I can't remember any of the other games. Like, I just said them all, so those are all the games. Battlehawks over the Renegades. So we'll see as we get there. You'll see who won last week because they're 1-0, and teams are 0-1 and blah blah blah. I'm blank. I don't know why. I just forgot everything right at the beginning of this. Anyway, let's get into the pick'em Saturday games. We have at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, the DC Defenders hosting the New York Guardians. The Defenders are 5-point favorites. They don't really have over-unders yet. They have these money lines. This one was like 150. It's the only one I'm going to remember, or 105 or something like that. I really don't know what that means, so I didn't include it. But the Defenders are 5-point favorites. Of course, they're the home team. They looked really good in their week 1 victory. It kind of was slow to get started, but once Cardale and everybody got going, we've seen all the offensive firepower this team had. A pretty good defense, solid coaching. It seems like they were pretty prepared. I mean, there was some rust, there was some lag, there was some, expected, with all the teams, there was expected kind of just like slow starts, kind of a dipshit plays, kind of just like raw rust. Basically, there's a lot of rust in this league, and it'll fall off as the league continues and the weeks go on and on and on. I think the Defenders are going to look even better than they did on offense last week, probably a lot sooner in the game too, where they can kind of just consistently get it going, as Cardale looked really good for the most part. With the Guardians, yeah, they won 23-3, but I don't know if they won that game because of anything other than Aaron Murray and the Vipers are just not going to be a good team. I think that might be the worst team in the league, just kind of looking at everything. Like, I feel like, how the Vipers were like going down the field and they looked like they were going to score against the Guardians? The Guardians weren't able to stop them. Murray just threw a shitty ball with his terrible arm strength and he got picked. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the norm for the Dragons. They get really close to scoring, and then a boneheaded mistake, they give the ball up due to Aaron Murray, maybe a fumble, maybe a pick. It's just, there's so much, like, in that game against the Vipers, I don't really have much good to say about the Guardians. Their offense didn't look that good, all things considered. This is going to be more of a running, defensive-based team, the Guardians, based on what I've seen in week 1. But the Defenders seem like they just have a better coaching system. They've got a better team. And that, I mean, we can only really go off of week 1, so this is all just kind of what I've seen, kind of what I've picked up on. The Guardians are like, these are two very good football teams. They really, like, in comparison to the rest of the league, I think these two might be top of the class in the East. But when it comes to a head-to-head, I like the Defenders winning 24-17, just because I feel like they're the better team in this game. They're the home team. I feel like the Guardians got a win like the way they did was because of who they played. I know the Defenders played the Dragons, so it's not any better. It's really not any different. But the Defenders really kind of looked like the far better team. I know the Guardians didn't only gave up 3 points, but like that's kind of like they kind of went in, everybody thinking they were going to have a good defense. The Defenders was just, we're going to score shitloads of points, and they scored 31. So I guess this is a real test for the Guardians and Defenders. Are these two teams as good as they say they are? Was their week 1 victory, the way that they won, a fluke? Because both teams won pretty handily, in my opinion. I guess more remains to be seen, but I'm going to go with the Defenders as the home team, the better team, and I think the better coach team. 24-17, very close game. I have the Defenders covering the spread. Let's go on to the next game. I'm going to try to keep this video to about 10 minutes. It might be a little long because of the way I am. I'm pretty long-winded. I can talk. And at 5 o'clock, we have, at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have the Seattle Dragons hosting the Tampa Bay Vipers, the 2 worst teams in the league. Both are 0-1, and the Vipers are favored by 2.5. I'm not picking a team to win a game like this when they scored 3 points and looked like the biggest joke in the league. Like, everybody went in kind of thinking the Seattle Dragons might be the worst team in the league. When you look at the offense, you're kind of like, oh, they don't got anybody. They must have defensively loaded up. And then you look and you're like, oh no, they didn't do that either. They just kind of whatevered it. I like the way the Dragons looked at times against the Defenders. A much better team. They were able to score 19. They looked semi-competent on offense at times. Their defense looked all right in the first half, not so much the second. Whereas the Vipers, that was just bad. If you're a Vipers fan, I feel sort of bad for you, just because it's like, man, you guys had a lot of hype going into this season. You had Antonio Callaway, you had fucking Aaron Murray, you had all these fun parts on offense. Callaway's her, Aaron Murray's Aaron Murray. It's just like, god damn it, we only scored 3 points. We're really the worst fucking team in the league right now in the power rankings because we got outscored by 20 goddamn points somehow. One team scored 30. Like, it's not as embarrassing. Say like you're the team that won 37-17, the Roughnecks over the who was it? The Vipers? No, it wasn't any of these teams. Who the fuck was it? The Wildcats, who had the big lead before 14-0 or something, and then the Roughnecks just kind of struggled. It's whatever. That was more impressive by the Wildcats, their loss of 20 points, than the Vipers' loss of 20, where they got a field goal. It's just like there's not much analysis that can go into this. Both these teams are trash. Both of them are the 2 worst teams in the league. Vipers are slightly worse, and they're on the road. I really don't. In a league like this, the safest thing you can do is pick the home team and pick the team that seems like they're better. I know the Dragons might have hit their ceiling last week. Like, that's the best they might be able to look all year. But I still feel confident in picking the Dragons to win this one until the Vipers show some kind of life on either side of the ball, special teams, kicking, not kicking, but offense, defense, coaching. Show me something from the Vipers, and I will be a little bit nicer to them. But right now, they're the joke of this league. They're the Browns, the Lions, the fucking Jets. They're all of those teams put together. And then we got the Dragons, not much better, but they looked a little bit better in their loss than the other team did. So give me the Dragons at home, 20-15. And of course, Dragons will beat the spread. All right, those are my Saturday games. Defenders over the Guardians and Dragons over the Vipers. Let's go ahead and move on into Sunday. At 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, we have the Los Angeles Wildcats hosting the Dallas Renegades. The Renegades are 3.5-point favorites. Of course, the Renegades lost a pretty wild game, 9-15, without starting quarterback Landry Jones, which is probably why they didn't do so good. Let's pause on the Battlehawks. I like that team. That's a team I'm rooting for. But I don't think the Dallas Renegades, who have probably the best coach, best team, the best stadium, the best everything in the league, I seriously think that was a fluke loss week 1 for the Renegades. Because they didn't have Landry. If they would have had Landry Jones, like, I was going to come in here and roast the Dallas team, and then I found out they didn't have Landry, and I went, so they had the backup quarterback in the first game of this doesn't count. What are we supposed to judge this team on? Like, what? Like, wow, their backup quarterback is terrible. Yeah, no shit, he's in the XFL. Like, come on. Like, the starters are all horrible. But, like, you're really going to... So the Renegades, this really feels like their opener. I know they're on the road. They're the only home team that's lost. Very embarrassing. Again, certain situations and certain circumstances seem to have messed with that. So it's really hard to read the Renegades. Their defense looked really good, only gave up 15. So if their offense with Landry Jones is any better than what they put out, they should be a lot better of a football team, if that makes sense to you. The Wildcats got off to a, 14-0 lead on the Roughnecks, and then the Roughnecks just scored like 37 straight points. That's very problematic if you're a Wildcats fan. Before the season started, this was a team I didn't have much thought of. I really didn't think. I thought they were going to be a really big, like, strong defensive powerhouse type team with, like, Sean Oakman. That was really all I made my prediction on. I was like, oh, Sean Oakman, he can get to the quarterback. And I was wrong about that. He needs a couple games to get warmed up, I think. I don't know, man. This one's hard to tell because of the fact that the Renegades didn't have Landry Jones in week 1. It's sort of like, well, we don't know really what the Renegades can fully do because they didn't have their real quarterback in there. So I have to kind of withdraw judgment on this game to a small degree. But with the Wildcats, they don't have a good defense. It seems like they can give up a shitload of points. Their offense didn't really do much the second half of that game. They scored 3 points. So it seems like once the game gets settled in and the Wildcats can't come out and surprise you, you kind of know what you're going up against. That almost what it seems like. The Roughnecks got caught off guard, switched to PJ Walker, and the rest is history. But the Wildcats are a really tricky team, man, because it's just like, man, you guys did so good at the beginning, but then you fell completely apart. So is that really what you guys are the second half when there's no surprises? They know what you are. They know what speed you're coming at. They know what you know what I mean? They kind of have an idea of what the team is that they're playing in the second half, make some adjustments. You got destroyed. I think that's going to be very similar to this game. I actually do think the Wildcats get out to a decent-sized lead, and then they blow it again. And I think that's going to be the story of the Wildcats. Especially early on in the season until teams get tape and then they can kind of plan correctly, another 2 games. And by week 4, the offenses, everything will be clicking really nicely, I think, personally, for all the teams. They'll all have their identity figured out, minus injuries, of course. But this game's hard to call. Based on the fact that the Wildcats kind of blew the last game and didn't really do anything to come back, so it kind of seems like they only got out to that lead because of the fact that they used kind of the surprise tactic, the surprise attack, surprise element. They seemed very beneficial of such a thing. And the Dallas not having Landry Jones and them getting him back this week. June Jones, that offense, that team that they seem to have put together. I do like the Renegades to win this game this week. 33-27. I'm putting quite a big emphasis on Landry, but that team almost won a game with a very bad backup quarterback. And he's only really bad because he plays in the XFL. 33-27. Give me the Renegades over the Wildcats. This is the only one I'm fairly certain this is going to be the outcome. Like, that's the only one I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing the right thing. All right, 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for the second game. We have the Houston Roughnecks, a.k.a. probably the best team in this league, taking on the St. Louis Battlehawks. Both teams won their games. They're both 1-0. The Battlehawks are the first team in XFL history, in the 2020 version, to win on the road. Very interesting. Here we are. They're on the road again. Let's see, what is that? 8 points? So I have about 8-point game. The Roughnecks are 7.5-point favorites. I think they cover that. So as I said with the Renegades, it's sort of hard to judge both teams in that game because of the fact that the Renegades didn't have Landry Jones. With the Battlehawks, I don't know if their defense is actually as good as it looked, or were they just kind of lucky that they ran into a backup quarterback on the first game of the season when teams are going to be rusty? I don't even want to think about the rust level coming off of a backup XFL quarterback. I don't even know who it was. It was probably some dude that never played football. He's just a guy who's like a office manager for the XFL, and they're like, we need you to go play for the Renegades this weekend. He's like, all right, I played middle school football, man. I got this. And it looked like it. So I don't really know if the Battlehawks have this great defense. I know they have a good running game, and that's how they're going to kind of have to win these games. Control the game on defense, control the ball with the running game, kind of just chip away old school smash mouth football. I like that. I like Winston Moss. I do like the Battlehawks. I'm a fan of this team. I like the uniforms, but I don't know what this team really is because of who they played. They don't have a good offense. They only scored 15 points, and they probably should have blew out the Renegades. They held them to 9 points. Very, very impressive. Defense looked good, again, against the backups, but regardless. But it's hard to judge the Battlehawks until they play probably the Roughnecks. Really, this will give me an idea for the Roughnecks. Now on to the best team in this league, apparently. They won 37-17, and as soon as their offense started clicking with PJ Walker, they didn't stop. Their defense completely shut out the Wildcats, giving up 3 points in the second half. I said in the Wildcats thing, I think what happened is the Wildcats used sort of this like surprise tactic, and once the Roughnecks were able to kind of go back into the locker room, break down what they'd seen, kind of go over tape, come up with a secondary game plan, the game was completely different. It just seemed like the Roughnecks came out and shitted all over this team. Like there wasn't even another team on the field. And that's basically why I think the Wildcats just kind of used the surprise element. It's like you did a little planning and changed up the game plan and got fucking destroyed. It wasn't even close the second half for the Roughnecks and the Wildcats. So I think even if the Battlehawks get out to some kind of a lead, I don't think the Battlehawks will be ready for the level of adjustment that would be made by this Roughnecks team, which is apparently full of wizards that can just come up with a perfect halftime game plan to slaughter a team that they showed no life whatsoever against. That's very frightening. The Roughnecks, I like what I seen, man. They looked really good. PJ Walker might wind up being the best quarterback in this league. Dude looked really, really good. Looked really solid. Sorry, I need a drink there. So yeah, it's hard for like these last two games are hard to tell because I don't know what the Renegades are and I don't know what the Battlehawks are simply because of the lack of Landry Jones. If I knew like they lost 15-9 to Landry Jones and the Renegades, I'd be like, oh dude, this fucking Battlehawks team has the best defense in the league. This is gonna be fun. But yeah, I think because of the fact this is a running team, I think the fact this is a defensive oriented team, and I just think those things are going to cost the Battlehawks in the end here. I think the Roughnecks can really put up some points. They're going to adjust very well. I don't know how well the Battlehawks are going to adjust in a halftime game to a team that's adjusting on the fly like the Roughnecks were in week 1. Because of that, I do like the Roughnecks to beat my team. 26-18. I don't really like saying this because I don't really like Houston teams, but you guys might have the best team, and yeah, you guys probably might win the championship. Unless the Defenders are as good as advertised, that looks like the finals, right? It looks like it's going to be the Defenders versus the Roughnecks. I really can't wait to see it, but we'll have to wait till we get there. So yeah, those are my picks. Just real quick, I got the Defenders over the Guardians, Dragons over the Vipers, Renegades over the Wildcats, and Roughnecks over the Battlehawks. And my pick'em record is 2-2. I picked 2 for 2 last week. 2 out of 4. Not bad. 50%. Not bad for the first start of the season there. Not bad whatsoever in my opinion. So I'm going to wrap this video up because I didn't realize it was hitting 17 minutes for 4 picks. But I gave pretty in-depth breakdowns of the games, I would say. Yeah, thanks you guys so much for listening. I hope you are enjoying the new XFL content. I will make picks videos every Monday. Sorry, this is a little late. I had some classes and an exam and yada, 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 and work and blah, blah, blah. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Leave a comment too. I'll be sure to get back to you. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you subscribe and all that because that'd be very helpful. Blah, blah, blah. YouTube drama, YouTube shit, blah, blah, blah. Thank you guys, though. Have a great rest of your day. Go Patriots. Go Battlehawks. Upset the Roughnecks. Not likely. Thank you guys. Have a good one. And Brady to the Pats maybe again? I don't know. What do you think?